me where the love is at. I am my brother's keeper.
Yes, I am my brother's keeper, but please do not call me Nino. No. I'm trying to find the love feeling like Dory finding Nemo. I've been looking, I've been searching, it's supposed to be here. And I know it when I see it, cause I can feel it in the air. But this ain't it, no, this don't even feel right. I've been unplugged from the matrix, I can finally see right. I'm eliminating the sheeple, I need Morpheus and Neo. The camp's another word for church that's holding all the pedos. He said you don't need.
Hi, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. What's going on? Y'all already know what it is today. Another Shabbat, another Sabbath talk with our brother, our beloved brother, Moreh Achi'ka. And this is the Covenant edition. And hey, we gonna get right back into it because we on verse 7, man. Verse 6 last week was like fire. I was attentive, like, you know what I'm saying? I learned a lot too. So this week I'm gonna be quiet again and I'm gonna listen and I'm gonna comment when I comment. But hey, everybody, y'all definitely enjoy the build, definitely enjoy the wisdom. And now I'm about to give it over to our beloved Moreh. So go ahead, brother, do what you do.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's good to be back again. I want to give all praises to the Most High Yah. I want to thank our brother Aviyah for bringing us this opportunity to be able to share this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding about the Most High. We've been in our covenant series for the last few weeks. As you notice, we've only gone through a couple of verses at one time. We don't want to rush anything. I would like for you to bring up that slide presentation for me right quick. Let me see. Is it still up there?
Yep,
Can you see it? Good. All right. Thank you, everyone. So I want to first bring to your attention, again, I like to tell us the reason why we're doing the things that we're doing. All right. It's one thing for us to talk about the covenant and what it says, but we need to understand why, right? I think often people, tell people what to do, they know what the commandments are, but they really don't understand the purpose why, right? So the idea behind the laws and the statutes and the commandments is for us to listen to what the Most High wants us to say. I mean, what he wants us to hear. And also too, so we can learn how to love him properly. That's what this is about. To be in the covenant with the Most High is not just by saying we're his people. Abraham was our father, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. You often hear about them being mentioned all the time about him saying, I love you, I love them, and I promise to love their descendants. So we're the descendants of those people. So they had a really close relationship with the Most High. And for us, our call and our responsibility and our duty to the Most High is to learn how to live with the Most High and how to operate as his people. And part of that is loving him, and is how we love him. It's with our mind, our soul, and our might, and all of our resources. But also, too, it has to do with us learning, and we have to learn from the Most High. So the first step of being with the Most High is to listen to what he has to say. The second part of that is loving. And the third of that, of course, is to learn. So our relationship with him is based on these three things: listening, loving him, and again, learning from the Most High. And the learning process is always going to be one that's going to be continuous. Also, too, in order for us to obey what the Most High is talking about, we're going to have to not add or subtract from anything that he says. So when I'm reading about the covenant, I want you to understand that this is the reason why I'm going line by line and detail by detail. I'm explaining to us what the letters mean, what does the verbs mean, what the actions mean, okay? These are the things that we've been missing as a people. We're just told to do things, but we don't understand how to do it. When I say active versus passive, what I'm saying is when actions are being done, they're either being done actively or it actually can actually be done passively. So actions don't always mean active, and an action can actually be passive, meaning that you're letting something happen to you versus you doing something, okay? So one of the commands that we have about our covenant is that we have to be active in our understanding, active in our listening, not just listening to I heard what you said, but actively obeying what the Most High has said. Okay. And in order to do this, he tells us in the book of Deuteronomy that in order to obey what I'm telling you, in order to listen to what I'm saying, you should never add or subtract. And so you ask yourself, well, why is that? Well, simply because everything that the Most High has already said has already been spoken, and it's not supposed to be added to. It's like a decree that's been written down or etched in, like the commandments were written down on stone, or the covenant was etched in stone. The 10 words were etched in stone. They were etched in stone because it's letting us know that you are not supposed to add or subtract. You cannot add to that. Otherwise, if you try to add to the words that he says, you're actually going to destroy the actual document, which of course this 2 stones that were written on. So if something is engraved and someone tries to come and change it, they're going to destroy what was being written. So every time we try to add to what he said, or trying to or take away or diminish from what he's saying, we're destroying Yah's words. You're corrupting the words about what the Most High is saying. The reason why the covenant was given to us is because we're a great nation. We're supposed to be a nation of wisdom and understanding and knowledge. We're the ones who are able to possess this divine information, right? And so who are the people who are supposed to do this? We're the children of Israel, the people who are going to be the people who prevail with the Most High. And we prevail with the Most High because we're in agreement with him, and because he's teaching us things that we need to understand, okay? So I want to go directly into what it is about I want to talk about your mind a little bit, okay? So if you see, I have on the screen right here is a slide that deals with this Hebrew word called your lave, okay? And what a lave is, it's one's mind, right? And it's demonstrated by these 2 letters that you see in the Hebrew. One is called the lamed, and the next one's a bet. The lamed is the first letter. It looks like a staff, looks like an L, right, upside down. And what that letter has to do with is authority. It has to do with the shepherd staff, one that leads an individual. It's called the lamed. And lamed in Hebrew means to learn. So the staff is used in order to teach us on what we need to do and how to learn, right? The next letter is the bet. And that has to do with the family and what's inside. And so it represents the tent and the family. So when you put those 2 letters together in Hebrew, it means the inner authority. What's inside? What is the authority that's inside a person? And so what's the authority that's inside of us is our minds. That's the authority. That's the one that's going to be making the decisions, is the mind. And the Most High knows that the mind of a human being is the most deceitful part of a human being, is its mind. He knows that it is mortally sick. There's something wrong with the mind, okay? And the covenant is given to us because the covenant is supposed to help govern our lives, supposed to help us understand how we're supposed to live and what's the authority that we're working underneath. The authority in which you and I are working underneath is the human mind. That Yah wants control over that, okay? And so he says that Yahweh says, I search the heart, which is I search the mind. I test the inner motivations. He's going to give to every person what her or his actions and conduct deserve. And so this is something that we need to understand when we're talking about the covenant, okay? It's the mind. The mind is the most important thing. And the mind is where everything happens. And so if the mind is corrupt, then you and I are not going to be able to fulfill the mission that the Most High wants us to do. If the mind is corrupt, then you're not going to be able to keep the covenant properly. You're not going to be able to understand what's being said. So, while we're in our exile and while we've been separated from the Most High, we have learned the ways of the nations, the Babylonians, the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans, and all the nations that we've been scattered to. And while we've been there, we've been corrupted. Our minds have been corrupted. You see on your left-hand side of the screen the days of the week: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. All of these names here are all names of different gods. I'm not going to go through all of this. I just have it up here for you to review and look at. They're worshiping the different planets. They're worshiping the sun. They're worshiping the moon. And so all of these days have to do with idolatry. Okay. And this is the way that the mind is corrupted. Okay. Also, too, when you look at some of these other practices, these idolatrous practices, these are the things that are not included on your covenant, right? So our covenant does include Christmas, Easter, Halloween. Our covenant doesn't include where you don't get any rest. Our covenant does not include any other culture, any other language, any other type of actions and behaviors. When we follow the covenant that we follow, we have to have a certain type of mindset. And that mind, again, is the lave, which is the heart, right, in Hebrew. So if our minds are not corrupt, if our minds are corrupt, you're not going to be able to keep the covenant. That's what it is. And this is what the Most High is going to hold us responsible for, is the covenant, okay? So this is a list of things that help contaminate our minds, right, through these idolatrous practices. It's not only the days of the week, but it's also the months of the year. It's also the clothes that we wear. It's the food. It's the religions. It's the culture. It's the language. It's the actions. It's how we resolve our problems and all these sorts of things, okay? One of the things, too, that we need to understand, and I'm not going to get into that, I want to bring out to you is that he doesn't want us to forget about the actual covenant. This is one of the most important things we need to understand. It tells us in the book of Deuteronomy that in chapter number 4, verse number 23, it tells us to watch out for ourselves, or yourselves, meaning your souls, right? So that you won't forget the covenant. Why is he saying this? Because the children of Israel will forget the covenant. He didn't say that you'll forget the Torah. He didn't say you're going to forget the Mishpatim, which is the judgment. He didn't say you're going to forget the Kukim, which is the decrees. He didn't say you're going to forget the Moedim, so appointed times. He wanted us to be careful not to forget the covenant. And the covenant that he gave to us is not the covenant that he gave to our fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Okay? So the Eseret HaDavarim are the 10 words. I don't want you to forget these 10 words. You may ask yourself, well, why doesn't he want us to forget it? Because it's those 10 words are going to be the words that he's going to judge you and I on. You're not going to be judged for the judgments and the decrees that you're not able to keep in the land of your enemies. You're going to be kept in judgment or judged for what was mentioned in the covenant, which are the 10 words that you and I have been going over. We're in, I think, in verse number 7, if I'm not mistaken. We did verse number 6 last week. So today we're going to investigate verse number 7, and then, of course, or the 7th actual word. We're going to talk about that, and then we're going to continue to go on. So, in a fresh recap, the first one is that I'm Yahweh your Elohim, and you are never to, and that I'm the one who caused you to come out of the land of Egypt. That's the first statement that he said. The second one is that you should never have any other gods before me. Never bring another God in front of my face. The third is you should never make an image of any likeness of anything that's in the heavens or in the earth or beneath the earth. You should never bow down and worship and serve them. You should never do these things, right? Because he's a jealous Elohim, and that he says that he's visiting the sins of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generations of those who hate him. And he's showing mercy and compassion to those who love him to the 1,000 generations, right? So here he's telling us that I don't want you to forget this covenant, okay, that he made with us. And again, he's saying don't make a carved image, going back to the covenant, because that's where everything is at. In the carved image, if you have a carved image, then you're going to have a story that goes along with the carved image. Anytime there is a narrative and a story that has to go with the image. For example, when you talk about Santa Claus, and they have an image of Santa Claus, the big man with the big red outfit on, with the long white beard and the long hair and some reindeers. They give you the images, and then they're going to tell you a story. to go along with that image. When you have an image of a man that's on a cross, right? A human being that's nailed to a cross, there needs to be a story that goes along with that actual image. So images are not just images, they actually come with what they call narration, right? So the narrative. So there's a narrative has to be created. So he's telling you, don't make any of these images or any representation, anything is forbidden to you by Yahweh. And those representation can both include humans and animals, okay, and male and female. So again, why? Because when you have an image of a male or a female, you're going to not only have the image, you have to have a story. It's like the Christmas tree. You're going to not only have the image, you have to have a story. Okay. Now, another reason for this is that the reason why the 10 words were given are the Eseret HaDavarim, and they were given on the mountain of Israel, of Mount Sinai, on Mount Moreh, which they would call the mountain of Yahweh, is simply because the Most High is giving you an example that when he was speaking to them, he was speaking those words out of the fire, okay? And he says that he's a consuming fire. He's a jealous Elohim. So when these words were being spoken, he was letting you know that I'm jealous. And that what he's going to do is he's going to use his fire to show his jealousy against anyone who creates another God. Did you hear what I said? Avayai. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I heard you.
Yeah. Okay. I hope the audience is listening. This is the warning. So it's not just you learning the 10 words or you learn the Eseret HaDavarim, the Hebrew definitions, which your understanding is when he gave this to us, it was given to us out of fire. That is what he's going to use against all other gods. He's going to use fire to judge all the other gods of the nations. So if you're holding on to another god, you're going to be consumed with fire. So our responsibility to the covenant is to learn it, to guard it, and to do it. So, Achi'ka, what are you talking about when you say learn? I'm saying that if the Most High told us the words that he's speaking to us, that he wrote on tablets of stone that was engraved by his finger, he's telling us that you need to memorize these words. You need to meditate upon these words. You need to know what he said. You need to write them down. You need to speak about them all the time. Guarding it every single day of your life, every moment of your life, in every activity of your life, in every conversation of your life. Even though we're around people that are contaminated, even though you're among the nations, see, that's not going to be the excuse. You understand? So then he says not only to guard it, but also to do what I'm telling you to do. And you can only do what you're commanded to do, what has been prescribed. Remember, he told us never to add or subtract from anything that he said. Don't get anything extra. Don't diminish from any words that I said. So if the Most High tells us that I need you to remember the Sabbath day and to guard it and not to do any work on it, that's what you need to do. You don't need to add, well, maybe I could do this, and maybe he only meant this for this in particular time. And, you know, things have changed because we're in the nations, and that's old. You know, that's the ancient way of doing things. These things are different now. Work life is different. Family's different. All because life for us has changed doesn't mean Yahweh's words have changed. You and I don't get we don't get that privilege to change anything that he said. And by the way, the Most High has not given any of his laws to any of the nations. Absolutely nothing. Why? Because they don't mean anything to him. Okay. Isaiah chapter number 40 tells you that the nations are nothing to him. Absolutely nothing. The Goyim, because that's what they're called. They're idolaters. And they don't have the covenant that you have. You and I have a privilege to follow what the Most High has said. It's an honor to be in the covenant with the Most High Yah. So I want to share. Yes, it is. So what we want to do now is I want to see about, let me see here. I want to see if I can add something to the screen. Maybe you could pull it up for me real quick. I want to, let me see. No, that's not what I want. You have any questions before we continue, brother?
I'm listening.
Or any contributions you want to add on to that?
No, not really. I definitely feel that that the Most High has told us that the Sabbath is one of those things that has to be guarded, just like with the 10 words, and I always tell people that they are like the foundation and the pillar of the beginning of a lot of things. So like when you look at the 10 words or the 10 commandments, as they will say, they're the foundational pillars of different religious sects too. You know what I'm saying? Like with Christianity, with Islam, with certain parts of Buddhism and stuff like that, they have the foundational grit of the 10 words. So it's not like that they were given to us and to only us, for us to teach them to everybody else. And when we teach them to everybody else assimilates and uses them in their belief systems as well. Seems like
very true. But all the nations, as we read, or we can read, I can show it to you, that he says that they don't know his laws. Now they might sit and try to take his laws and proclaim his laws, but they don't know his laws. They don't have a clue about what he said. And what does he mean by that? Okay, so for example, let's look at something right quick, and I'll just keep it in English just for the sake of time, where I want to share with you something that just popped in my head as you were saying that.
Right.
And this is very important for us to understand. It's going to be found in the book of Psalms, chapter number 50. Okay. And he's going to tell us something about what the wicked are doing that kind of goes in line with what you just said. Okay. So let me share this one on your screen right quick so you can get it right quick. Let me see. Share your screen. Yeah, I'm going to share it. I'm going to share this right here. Actually pull it out right quick for the viewers so they can see it. Okay. So if you can see the screen, and you can pull it out right there, is the let's see. Yeah, thank you. So I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger so you can see it a little bit better. Okay. All right. So here it is. This is what the Most High says. Okay, it says verse number 16. It says, but to the wicked, Elohim says, what right do you have to proclaim my laws or take my covenant on your lips? Okay. So there's a group of people that are saying, and that word they're proclaiming right? They're proclaiming his laws, right? So what they're doing is, if you could look on the screen, is telling you what it means. You see where it says they're declaring Yah's laws, and they're taking his covenant on their lips. They're speaking about his covenant, my covenant. Okay, so these nations, these other religions that you mentioned. Go ahead and bring back up the slides. Bring the slides back up.
Okay.
Right there, the idolatrous practices are included, and you can see in religions, and the title of religions is Christianity, Islam, New Age, and atheism. So what they'll do is they'll take some of what Yahweh said and they'll apply it, and and what they're doing is taking something out of its context. So they're stripping out like a verse or an idea, or they'll turn into a philosophy, and then they'll bring it and they'll add it to whatever they're teaching, and to justify or to validate their belief system. So Christianity uses a lot of Yah's laws to justify their existence. So when his laws are attached to it, or his words are attached to it, you would automatically think that this has to be legit, because the Old Testament says it and the New Testament says it. So they're one and the same. Or Buddhists had said something that was very similar to that, or the Muslims say this, they use this, they talk about Moses, and they talk about Mount Sinai, and they talk about the covenant, they talk about, the relationship Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So they mention them. So they're validating their religions with Yahweh's laws.
With the word of Yah. Yeah, that's crazy.
So
That's
when they
crazy.
so if you took out of Yah's laws, if you took his laws out of what they wrote and what they said, they would have no validity.
Right, it'd be fallacy. Right.
It's a fallacy. It's not real. So this is what the problem is that that's what's going on. You see, that's what's up. So they don't know Yah. He says these people don't know me. They don't even, he hasn't revealed nothing to them. He's not in a covenant with them. Matter of fact, he says that the covenant he's making with us, I didn't make this with your fathers. Okay, so the covenant that he's with us right now, this is not, it's a whole different covenant. Okay, it's a whole different covenant. So go back to the screen with me, the Bible Hub, or the text I got right there. All right, so here we are, and I want you to read it for yourself, so you'll know that I'm telling you the truth. Okay. This is what it says. It says, then Moshe called all Israel and said to them, listen, Israel, to the laws and rulings. And these two words right here are called Kukim and Mishpatim. They're not the Torah. They're part of the Torah, but they're not the complete Torah. Okay, Torah's instructions, which I'm announcing in your hearing today, so that you will learn. Remember, our responsibility is to learn and to take care, in guard, and obey them. Yahweh made a covenant with us at Korev, meaning at Mount Sinai. That's another word. Korev right here is used in reference to Mount Sinai. It's one and the same, Korev. And Korev means a sword. Okay, so on the place of the sword, this is where the Most High has made a covenant with us. Okay, listen what he says. Yahweh, this word Adonai is not Adonai, it is Yahweh. They just put that word there. But it's really Yahweh did not make this covenant with our fathers. He did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with us who are alive here today, right? Some people say the Most High didn't speak to Israel face to face. He did. He spoke with you face to face. You saw the fire on the mountain. You understand? So this covenant, he did not make this covenant. So the Eseret Hadavarim, which is the covenant called the Berit, he did not make that with our ancestors, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Forgive my pronunciation. I'm trying to go back between English and Hebrew. So I want to say Abraham, and I was like Abraham. So he did not make this covenant with our fathers. And you ask yourself, well, why not? Why didn't he make this covenant with our fathers? What do you think? Why do you think he didn't make this with our fathers? Avia?
Was they under a different? They wasn't under the Torah, the law of the Torah at that time. They were under like an oral worldwide type of law. So it wasn't a covenant with them. The covenant with Israel was the 10 words in the Torah, but the covenant that he made with the elders was something different, right?
Yeah. So to answer that question, we have to look at what he said, right? So I don't want to just, I want to, like every time I say something, I want to be able to verify what I said, right? And I think something that we need to learn as a people is that when I answer questions, I only answer them with what was spoken. So there won't be any ambiguity like, well, Achi'ka said that, but is that what it really says? So go to Genesis chapter number 26, and we're going to find out what it does say. Okay. So 26:5, and let me give you the context here. Context, chapter number 26, 1 through 4, is when he's talking to Yitzchak. He's talking to Abraham's son, what they call Isaac. He's talking to him, and he's telling him that, he's reaffirming the covenant he made with Abraham, right? If you read that and say Yahweh appeared to him, to who? Verse number 2, to Yitzchak. He said, don't go down to Egypt, but, live where I tell you. Stay in this land, and I will be with you and bless you, because I will give you all these lands to you and your descendants, and I will fulfill the oath which I swore to your father Abraham. I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky. Well, he only had 2 descendants, which is Esau and Yaakov, which is Jacob and Esau. So when you talk about your descendants, I'm going to make them as numerous as the stars in the sky, which is the children of Israel. And I will give all these lands to your descendants, the children of Israel. And by your descendants, the children of Israel, all the nations of the earth will bless themselves. Meaning, not that the nations are going to bless themselves, like they say here in English. He's saying that they're going to bend their knee to them. All the nations are going to bend a knee, because to bless means to bend a knee.
Right.
Like you saw in, Game of Thrones and all these other different programs where you go before the king or go before the people who have power over you, and you got to bend the knee.
Mm-hmm.
You understand that I'm giving myself underneath authority. That's what he's literally talking about. And he's talking about they're going to be happy and joyfully in you. It means they're going to bow down to you. That's what it means. And all this is because the people are going to bow down to you because of what? You're going to be as numerous as the stars in the sky because of what? All these lands are going to be given to your descendants because of who? Because your father, Abraham, listened, Shema, what I said, and he did what I told him to do. Tells you what he did. He followed my mitzvot, and mitzvot in Hebrew means my commandments, my regulations, which is talking about his judgments, okay, and my teachings. This is the Torah, my Torah.
Right. Okay? We got a comment real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Put it there for you.
The comment. The nations took fragments of the Torah, distorted them to suit their own ways. This religious practice is half-truths because they borrow pieces of Yah's word but twist the meaning. I couldn't have said it any better. That twisting there is the awon. It is the perversion of Yahweh's words. And of course, over thousands of years, the covenant was neglected and Israel drifted into assimilation, forgetting who they were meant to be. Couldn't have been said any better, Smooth Advisor. So this is the truth, okay? So when he talks about this, he says, because your father. So when you had mentioned, well, hey, Abraham was under a covenant, right? Of what the nations were. No, he told Abraham, leave your father's house and I'm going to show you. So this covenant that he's telling him that he's under, that he made with him, is different. And the commandments and the regulations and the teachings are different. They're different than what he made with the children of Israel. Our covenant is exclusive. It's exclusive to the children of Israel. So when you go back and you look again in chapter number 5 of the book of Deuteronomy, it tells you that, hey, Yahweh did not make this covenant with our fathers. He did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with us who are alive here, all of us today. Okay? So, but our covenant is exclusive to us on what he revealed to you and I. And what he spoke to us, he has never spoken to anyone else. He hasn't spoken to the nations from the midst of the fire. He hasn't spoken to any other people. He doesn't know any other nation. He does not know them. They mean absolutely nothing to him. Okay? So you say, oh, Achi'ka, you're saying this. Well, we haven't gotten to the covenant. You just want to run and go read the covenant? Or do we want to understand why he gave us the covenant? This is what he has said about the nations. Verse number 15 tells us the nations are like a drop in a bucket. They count like a grain of dust on the scales. Islands weigh as little as a speck of dust. Before him, all the nations are like nothing. He regards them less than nothing. That's why he keeps asking the question, with whom then will you compare Elohim? Because what they have done, because they're involved in idolatry. Can you go back to my slides right quick so I can show you why he's saying what he's saying. So the nations call their foods after their gods, like this word right here called the Roman god Ceres. They use that word Ceres for the word cereal. They name their meat after their gods. They name their fruits and vegetables after their gods. They name their holidays after their gods. You see the name Christ right there in Christmas. Easter is from Ishtar. They name these things after their gods. So who are you going to compare me to? Am I going to be compared to Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday? They're all named after gods. The gods of the sun, the gods of the moon, the god of war, the Roman god of Mars. Don't look up at the heavens. Are you going to name me after this god? You're comparing me to Odin? Because you worship Odin on Wednesday or Thursday. On Thursday, you're worshiping Thor's day. You're going to compare me to the Greek god of Zeus and Roman Zeus and Norse and the Greek god of thunder and lightning? What is it? Go back to Isaiah 40. What does he say? He says, who will you compare me to? Go ahead, Abiyah. Bring me back to this to scripture.
Okay, my bad. I was sitting here. I'm sitting here listening a little too hard. My bad.
It's all right. So, who are you to? With whom will you then compare Elohim? What standard? And then he goes and talks about an image that's made by a craftsman. These are all the things that these people have done. But listen what he says. He said, don't you know in verse 21, don't you know? Don't you know? Don't you know? Don't you hear? Haven't you been told from the start? Don't you understand how the earth is set up? He's talking to Yisrael. You should know. You have heard that he's the God of the heavens and the earth. This is the reason why he says in the covenant, you shall never make an image of anything in the heavens and the earth, above or anything beneath the earth. Don't worship, don't bow down, and don't serve them. Here it is. He who sits above the circle of the earth, for whom its inhabitants appears like grasshopper, stretches out the heavens like a curtain and spreads them out like a tent to live in. He reduces princes to nothing and rulers of the earth to emptiness. With whom then will you compare me? With whom am I equal? Am I equal with Christ because he says he's my son? Are you serious? Then he tells us something. Turn your eyes to the heavens and see who created these. Created those in the heavens. Talking about, and he says, who brings out the army of them in sequence, summing each by name. Okay, so go back to the presentation and I can show you who he's talking about. He's talking about the sun, the moon, and the stars. He's talking about Mars on Tuesday. He's talking about Mercury on Wednesday. He's talking about the gods on Thursday. He's talking about Friday. He's talking about Venus on Friday. He's talking about Saturn on Saturday. These are the gods that these people are worshiping and whom they're comparing him to. All corruption. And why? Because they worship the sun and the moon. And these are the witnesses that Yah has given to testify and give witness to his glory. The sun is a picture of Yah's righteousness that he's going to use in judgment. I could show you that in Psalms 50. I can show you the book of Malachi, chapter number 3 and 4. He's going to use the sun to burn up the whole entire planet. I can show you where the moon is used for a timepiece along with the sun. They're used for seasons. He says if you could get rid of the laws and statutes that are attached to the sun and the moon, you could get rid of the children of Israel. Because they know what the covenant is. They actually speak and no one's listening. Well, where's that at, Achi'ka? You're saying this stuff? So remember, you said that when you say something, you're literally going to verify it. So won't you please verify it for us that the heavens speak and that the sun and the moon and the stars are having a conversation all the time, every day, every night. So let's go and see for ourselves and find out whether or not what Achi'ka has said is true. So I want you to go right now. I put it there. Bring it back to the scripture for me. Here we are. It's very clear. in the book of Psalms, Tehillim, written by and for Dawid, says the heavens declare the glory of Yahweh. That word declare means they're proclaiming the glory of Yahweh. The dome of the sky speaks the works of his hand. Every day, every day. Every day the sun comes out, every day the moon is out, every day it utters speech. Who? The heavens. Every day it's declaring something. Every night it reveals knowledge. You can see the sun, the moon and the stars. Without speech, without a word, their voices being heard, their line goes out throughout all the earth in their words to the ends of the world. In them, he places a tent for the sun, which comes out like a bridegroom for a bridal chamber, to delight like an athlete ready to run, or an athlete to run his race. You understand? Okay? So this is what they're doing. Okay? The heavens are declaring Yahweh's glory in the handiwork of his hands. Now, Achi'ka, you had said that the sun and the moon and the stars are in a covenant with Yah. And they have to follow the covenant. And if he breaks his covenant with them, then he's going to break his covenant with the nation of Israel. So every time you see the sun, the moon, and the stars, when you go outside tonight, understand the only reason why you saw them was simply because the Most High is letting you know that he has not broken his covenant with the children of Yisrael.
Oh, yeah.
He hasn't broken his covenant. So here, let me see, in 33, I will cause and return into the place of ways fulfill his good promise at the time of his spring. Here it is. Here is what Yahweh says. If you can break my covenant with the day, which is the sun, and my covenant with the night, which is ruled by the moon, so that daytime and nighttime no longer come when they're supposed to. So he's in a covenant with them. Their covenant is different than our covenant. He's in a covenant with them. Then my covenant, another covenant, my covenant with my servant Dawid can also be broken. He got a covenant with him that he will not have a descendant to reign from his throne, or a Levite who is Kohanim to minister to me, to the degree that the armies of heaven are past counting, meaning the planets and everything in the heavens that declares glory. They're past counting. You can't count them. And the sand is upon the sea, right by the sea, by the sand by the sea past measuring, because you can't count that either. I will increase the descendants of my servant David. Not one servant, not one man, descendants. There's only been 19 kings that have sat upon David's throne. 19, that's it. That's it. 19, that's it. So he says that if you can't count the armies of the heavens, meaning the stars, and you can't count the sand, David's descendants and David and the Levites' descendants are going to outnumber the armies in the heavens and the sand of the sea and the Levites that are ministering to him. This word of Yahweh came to Jeremiah, who he said, haven't you noticed that these people are saying that Yahweh has rejected the two families? What two families? David's family and Aaron's family. Not the two tribes, the two families out of those tribes. Hence, they despise my people, no longer look at them as a nation. Here is what Yahweh says. If I haven't established my covenant with the day, which is the daytime with the sun ruling it, and the night, which is the moon, and the fixed laws, that word law right there is not Torah, it is Kukim. It is a decree for the sky and the earth. They're under a kukim. They're under a mishpatim, like you and I. He says, then I will reject the descendants of Yaakov and of my servant David by not choosing from his descendants people to rule over the descendants of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, for I will cause their captives to come back and I will show them compassion. So you should know that the covenant with the sky and the moon, the sun and the night hasn't been ended. The laws for the sky and the earth has not ended. And if that hasn't been ended, then Yah has not rejected the descendants of Jacob. And it's saying to reject the descendants of Abraham, I will then also reject the descendants of Jacob, which are the 12 tribes of Israel. So, as we've noticed, it's more than just one covenant. There's covenant with Abraham. There's a covenant with Yitzchak. There's a covenant with Yaakov. There's a covenant with the children of there's a covenant. There's a covenant with the moon. There's a covenant with day. There's a covenant with night. There's a covenant with David. There's a covenant with Levi, with Aaron. There's a covenant with Levi. You see? So it's important for us to understand about these covenants so you and I won't cross lines in thinking when he's talking to Abraham or talking to Isaac or talking to Jacob that, you know, what he told them is what he's telling you and I. No, he's sharing what he told them, but he's not, that's not the covenant that you're under. You're under the covenant that you heard in Mount Sinai. Now let's put it all in perspective. Okay? In the book of Psalms, chapter 105, is going to tell you, okay, about what the covenant is. Okay? With Abraham. Okay? This is what he says. You descendants of Abraham, his servant, our father was his servant. You offspring, you descendants and offspring of Yaakov, his chosen ones. You're chosen. He is Yahweh our Elohim. His rulings are everywhere on earth. He remembers his covenant forever. Now you say, well, which one? Which covenant are you talking about? He is about to explain to you which covenant he's talking about. The word he commanded to 1,000 generations. The covenant he made with Abraham. The covenant he made with Abraham. The oath he swore to Yitzchak that we just read in Genesis chapter number 26, verse number 1 through 5. He established a kolk, a law, a decree for Yaakov. They say law here, you think it's Torah. It is a kolkim. It's a kolk. It is a decree that has been inscribed. He established that for us. He made a covenant with Abraham. He established a kolk for Yaakov, for Israel, as an everlasting covenant. What is it? Our decree for us is to be used in the everlasting covenant. What is the everlasting covenant, Achi'ka? He's going to tell you what it is because he's going to put right here, as you can see, the little quotation marks. What the covenant is. It's right here. Here's the covenant. It's in quotation. So you and I won't get is misunderstood. That's the covenant from Abraham. That's what he swore to Yitzchak. This is the reason why he established a kukim for Yaakov. This is what's everlasting. To you, I will give the land of Canaan as your allotted heritage. That's your inheritance. That's your heritage. That's the covenant he's talking about. You see? So we're getting it twisted. Remember, Moses said the covenant he's making with you, he didn't make with Abraham. So the covenant he's mentioned right here, for the land, This allotted heritage, the land of Canaan, it is your allotted heritage forever. That is an everlasting covenant to go on from generation to generation to generation to generation. What has been given to us is a coke for us to know how to live in that land. And the only way that we can be able to do that is if you're attached to Yah by his covenant, which you and I are about to go and continue in Exodus chapter number 20. Verse number 7. So I would like to share with you my screen and get you a new share. My new share is going to be Exodus chapter number 20. Going back now, we got a little bit more context. We're in verse number 7. We got a little bit more context about why and who this covenant is talking about. He didn't share this with Abraham. He didn't share this with Yitzchak. He didn't share this with Yaakov. He shared it with the 12 tribes of Israel, their descendants. Okay? Verse number 7. Going into our covenant, our berit, that you and I are not supposed to forget. He begins telling you and I, and this is so important. I'm going to focus right here so you can see it. This word right here that you can see right above LO. Okay. The English letters are LO right there. The Hebrew letters is a LO right here. They just look different. Okay. They have the word here NOT, meaning not. Okay. Underneath it's telling you it's a negation of a participle, meaning that whatever action it is going to be, whatever the action is going to be, he's saying you shall never do this action. It means an absolute never. It doesn't mean not at this time. It means absolutely never are you to do something. Okay? It is never supposed to happen. Ever. Okay? Some things could be, well, don't do it right now, because there's time elements. You're not supposed to do this right now because it's nighttime, or you're not supposed to do this right now because you haven't been married yet. You can't do this now because of this. You can't do this now. You can't harvest until this time. Here he's saying, irregardless to what the time is or to what the season is or to what the task is, this right here is a never, absolutely, ever, never, ever, ever. So this is so important because you're going to see nothing but these words, low, 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 low. Don't do, ever to do this, okay? So that's absolutely never. And then he uses this word tisa, okay, that you can see right above here in Hebrew, tisa, okay, Tissa. Okay, it's called tisa. Okay, so the tisa here is from a word called nasa. You don't see nasa, all you see is a T. That's all you're seeing. You don't see it. Nasa. Okay, let me explain something to you. In Hebrew, just a little light lesson. In Hebrew, when you see a word, it's usually conjugated. When it's someone doing an action, they'll change a letter, because they're going to add letters and subtract letters. So, it says tisa right here, but the root word is nasa, right? You see right here. Okay. So you say, well, how did it go from tisa to nasa? Well, because they're telling you when you do an action, and there's 80 or 58 different ways that a person can do an action in Hebrew. Okay. So it's saying that when you do this action, so the bottom line is, to keep it simple, is saying that I don't want you to ever lift up, because he's talking about you shall never do this. So you shall never lift up, never bear. That means I never want you to carry. Okay. I never want you to carry my name. Here it is right here. Don't ever take up my name. Don't ever speak my name. Don't even carry my name. Don't lift my name. Don't will my name. Don't do anything that has to do with my name. And that T right there, of course, right here, this T, this top right here, this has to do with you. You right there, singular, 2MS right here on the bottom. You, individual. Okay? So when he's addressing the covenant to the nation of Israel, and he's speaking to them as a whole, right? The 12 tribes of Israel were there. And then, of course, the people that were joined with them, they all heard this. And you and I were thinking he's talking to all of them. And he is. But when it comes down to keeping the covenant, it's not about everybody else keeping it. It's about you keeping it. So you as an individual. So if you don't understand first person, second person, third person, you're going to learn today. Okay. I'm talking to you right now. I'm the first person. I'm in a conversation. So if I'm talking to Abiyah is the person I'm talking to. When I speak to him, I say, hey, did you do this? Or, hey, I don't want you to do this. I'm the first person talking to the second person. Okay. So, and he says, when he talks to me, he's talking to me. He'll become the first person, and then I will become the second person. He would ask me a question. Hey, did you do this? Or do you want me to do this? He's talking to me as a singular. He's not talking to me as a group of people. Okay. So here, this is to understand that the Most High, when he's dealing with us as a nation, he's still dealing with us as individuals, even though we're part of a whole collective. Okay. So the message that the covenant is coming to is not just for the nation, it's for the individuals who make up the nation. So you are never, absolutely never, you never take up, and it gives you this direct object marker, DIROBJM, which is called a direct object marker, which are represented by these two letters right here, which in Hebrew basically means I'm pointing you to what I'm talking about. So if the action is don't carry and never to lift up, he's telling you, well, I want to show you, I'm going to point you directly what I'm talking about out. I want you to lift up. I'm not just going to, just tell it to you. I'm going to show you. I'm going to, in the language that these two letters right here called the Et, the Aleph, and the Tav, they're pointing you directly to where that action needs to be or not be. So since this is a low and since it's a negative, and since it's an absolutely never, he's saying you are never to do something. You're never to take up. And you say, well, what am I not to take up, Yahweh? Okay, well, I'm going to point you. I'm going to show this ET right here, this Aleph Tav is an arrow. I'm going to point you to what action I'm saying that you should never do. So the first thing he's pointing you to in this particular verse is I'm pointing you directly to my name. I want to tell you what my name is. I'm pointing you to my name. So far, you are absolutely never to carry around what? Pointing directly what? The Et, the ET pointing where? To my name, to the shame. Shame is name in Hebrew. Easy to remember. Just put a SH on it and remove the N and to be shame. Not the shame that you feel when you do something wrong. Shame, that's just the way it's called, okay? And shame basically means my reputation. And then he tells you what his name is. So, what is he saying about you should, they tell us in English, you should never take up his name in vain. Okay? He's saying you should never bear my name, my reputation of my name. Reputation of my name. It ain't just his name, it's the reputation of his name. So, what is the reputation of his name? What is he known for? Huh? Who is he? What is he known for? Okay, let me give you an example so we can get more clarity about this, so you could go away and you would fully understand about what he's saying. Okay, so if he's telling you that you shall never bear or carry my name, he's pointing to absolutely never to do this, then you ask, well, what is the reputation of his name? You will find Yahweh's reputation, and he tells you what his name represents. Okay, so I'm going to show you this, and I want Aviyah to switch the screen. Well, no, you can't switch it. I got to switch it. I'm going to change out what it is on the tab so I can present something different. And we're going to go there. I'm going to stop this in particular share, and I'm going to bring up another share, and then you'll bring it up for us. It's right here. And I'm going to bring it up here in Exodus chapter number, it's right here. All right. All right. So now that we have a picture of this and we can see it, I'm going to show you that I'm going to Exodus. That's where I'm going, and I'm going to show you where you can find his character. Okay, and it's going to be found in chapter number 34. 34. Okay, several other places, but here he's going to tell you something about himself. Okay, now I want us to get proper context. Okay, context doesn't mean that you go in and strip out one verse and say it means this without really understanding what is the environment, what is the, the setting that is in order for this to make sense. So you don't just be adding what you wanted to say, but you look at the context and all the different elements of it. So in chapter number 34, verse number 1, it says, Yahweh said to Moshe, cut yourselves 2 tablets of stone. Like the first ones. This is after what? This is after the golden calf. And Moshe broke the 2 tablets of stone. The 2 tablets of stone contained the 10 words, the 10 statements of the covenant. So what we're talking about in context is the covenant. And he says, I will inscribe on the tablets the words that were on the first tablets, which you broke. So we're talking about the covenant. Be ready by morning. In the morning, you are to ascend on the Mount Sinai, where he first spoke to Moses and the children of Israel. That brings you back into context about the 2 tablets of stone that are associated with the Mount Sinai, and present yourself to me at the top of the mountain like he did the first time. Okay? And by the way, the fire is still there. No one is to come up with you like the first time, and no one is to be seen anywhere on the mountain. Because he gave him instructions earlier. Anybody who is near or by the mountain will be put to death. Okay? Even let the flocks of the herds feed in front, and don't even let them do it. Moses cut the 2 tables, the 2 stone tablets, like the first. He did what he was instructed. Then he got up early in the morning with the 2 stone tablets in his hand, and he ascended. He elevated, and he went up to Mount Sinai, where Yahweh was, his mountain. Okay? As Yahweh had ordered him to do. Yahweh descended in the cloud and stood with him there and pronounced the name of Yahweh. They have here Adonai, but this is a mistranslation. It's going to tell you, and Yahweh passed before him and proclaimed his name, which is Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. They got a V there, but it's in Hebrew, it's Wah, it's a W. Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. And he said it twice. Is Elohim, I'm El. Then he tells you, what is his reputation? He is merciful and he's compassionate. He's slow to anger. He's rich in grace and truth. He's showing grace like he said he would to the 1,000 generation, forgiving offenses, crimes, and sins. So he forgives offenses, he forgives crimes, he forgives sins. And here's the thing, yet not exonerating the guilty. That means that if you're guilty, he's not setting you free. You're not going unpunished. But he's causing the negative effects of the parents' offenses to be experienced, not to be paid for, but to be experienced by their children and their grandchildren, like he did when he killed the first generation in the wilderness, and he let the second generation live, but they can live out and be in the wilderness because of the decisions that their ancestors made, their fathers and mothers had made by their children and grandchildren. So they're experiencing living out the consequences of the actions that were taken before them, even to the 3rd and 4th generations. Got it? So now, when the Most High says that you shall never lift up his name, his reputation, to being false, what he's saying is, if you say that I'm not any of these things that I say that I am, in any kind of way, you're not going to be held guiltless. We haven't got to that point yet where he says being guilty. I'm not going to hold you not guilty. You're not going to be innocent. I'm going to hold you accountable. So if we say anything about Yah that's not true, for example, you said he's going to forgive your sins if someone can die for your sins, and he said, no, every man's going to be responsible for their own sins. You're not going to be forgiven. You're guilty. If you and I broke Yah's laws and we broke the Sabbath in the past, and we say that we're not going to be held responsible for that, you're guilty. You're not going unpunished. If you say that Yah did not deliver the children of God, or don't worry about the law is done away with, you're guilty. You're not going unpunished. If you say that you can do whatever you want to do on the Sabbath day, and you're going to, the Most High said that anybody who shows any disrespect for it or disregards it or doesn't accept it or doesn't treat it the way that they want or the way it's supposed to be, I'm killing them. You say, no, he's not. You said that every day is the Sabbath. You're guilty. If you say that the Most High had changed his mind about a person who spoke badly about his mother and father in the past, or behind a closed door, or cursed their mother and father that they're going to die, and you say, no, that's not the case, he's going to forgive them, and he didn't say that, you're guilty. So what he's literally telling you and I is that if you try to change anything that he said, he's not going to hold you guiltless. You are not going to be exonerated. And I'll show you one more time so you get it. I'll make it bigger so you can see it. It says, yet not exonerating the guilty. Yah does not exonerate guilty people. He's not going to be unjust. He's going to be just. This is what his name represents. So every letter, Yod, Hey, Wah, Hey, the Yod means he, the Wah means exist. This whole thing, Yod, Hey, Wah, Hey, right here is he exists. He's the self-existing one. Yahweh, Hawa, need to exist. So if he exists, then you know that sins and crimes will be forgiven. You would know that the guilty will not be exonerated. You would know that the effects of the parents and the fathers who preceded them will be experienced by their children and grandchildren to the third, fourth generation. You would know that if Yah exists, there is mercy and compassion, and there is a slowness of anger with him, and that he is rich in grace and truth. You would know, why is he expressing this to Moshe when he gives him the second set of the testimony, which we call the adut, which is the commandments, or not the commandments, the covenant. Why is he talking about this when he's handing him the 2 stone tablets? Because he's letting him know that this has to do with the covenant. So mercy is available to those who keep the covenant. Yah's anger is slow for those who keep the covenant. Yah is rich in grace and truth to those who keep the covenant. Yah will show grace and mercy to the thousands of generations. But he doesn't tell you right here, but in other places he said the third and fourth generation, 1,000 generations that love him. He'll forgive our crimes and our sins. Yes, he will. And he's not going to do it by killing the innocent like the New Testament tells you. And you will experience the effects of your ancestors, what they did to the Most High. You understand? That has to do with the covenant. That's what is part of the covenant. And these are the very words that the Most High told Moshe, and these are the very words that he's telling you and I today. That's what it is. So, going back to the covenant, pull it up on the screen. Going back to our verse in number 7. Go to Exodus chapter in Bible Hub.
Yeah, you don't have it. You got to pull it up, bro.
Okay, pull up. Okay. Let me see.
Yeah.
My apologies. My apologies. I'm putting on you. It's on me.
It's all
All right.
good, man. You getting it in, man. You getting it in. All right, here we go.
Praise Yah. Thank you. Toda.
All right.
So this is what we're talking about. All right. So now when he's saying that you shall never lift up the name of Yahweh your Achi'ka and Lashua, they have there in vain in English from their Western perspective. It doesn't mean in vain. Okay. Like you're just going to say his name in vain. You think it just has to do with his name. It has to do with his reputation. It has to do with what he said. And his name is the self-existing one. So if you act, if you're acting like he doesn't exist, if you're living a way that doesn't proclaim his existence, then the way that you live is determining whether or not how you feel about his name and whether or not you're declaring that his name, that he is a self-existing one, he's alive and he's well, that he does see, he does hear, he does judge, he does show mercy, he does show compassion. This word here is called Lashua. Okay, Lashua. Okay, so the Lashua is, as you can see right here, the LAS. Okay, right here. Let me see. Right over 7723, Lashua. Okay. They don't show you the SH sound. It's the Lashua. Okay, Lashua. Okay. So that is represented by this letter right here, the Sheen. Okay. That's the SH. Shua. Okay. So the La, like a letter L, La right here, and then Shua. So Lashua. Okay. So Lashua. Lashua is meaning to be in emptiness. Okay, it means of to be lying and be falsehood, meaning to be worthless. That's where the emptiness comes from. It means that you're saying that what the Most High has said, listen to me and listen to me very carefully so you'll understand this. When he says, if you're never to lift up my name, you're never to carry around my name as if everything I said to you is false. So again, if he said something, you turn around and say, no, he didn't, then you're saying what he said was false. You're saying that he said what he said was a lie. You're saying his existence doesn't exist. That's what he's telling us. If we live lives that don't consider what Yah says and what he commanded us and what he said, then it's worthless. And then he says that you're saying that I don't exist because his name means to exist. So the way that we live our lives determine whether or not we're testifying and being a witness to whether or not he did speak. Did he really speak at Mount Sinai? Did he really communicate with the children of Israel and speak these words to them? If he did, then why aren't they living the way that he said? You understand? So that's what he's talking about. That means that he doesn't exist. He's nuts. It's all falsehood. He didn't speak from Mount Sinai. And he didn't speak out of fire, because if he did, then you should live that way. You should live in fear and trembling of the Most High. He says, for what? Ki lo. Ki lo means for never, okay? Not, remember lo. Absolutely never will he yanaka, okay? The yanake or yanaka is to be guiltless, meaning that you're not going to be innocent. Never will you be innocent. So if you're not innocent, that means you're guilty. You're never going to be innocent. And it's going to tell you that Yahweh, right? Never, Yahweh's going to do the et. The person who, Asher, who Yisa. Remember Tisa or Tisa is Yisa now. So the Tisa up here that you can see right here, the T right there, and here's a Yod right here. And what they do, everyone, is they change the, I'm sorry for this, keep highlighting. They change the letters. So for example, it's a Yod right there. It's still 5376. Up here, it's a T. They're just conjugating, letting you know, like, okay, you should never do this. And then it's telling you the person who does this, he, Yisa, individual who does this, whoever carries this, his et, meaning pointing directly to what I'm talking about, his shemo, his name, sham, right? Or shame, his name, and his shemo means his name, his character, La Shoah. That means anyone who does this will never, ever, ever be held innocent. Because they're saying that Yah doesn't exist.
Mm.
That's what they're saying. So if you don't keep the Sabbath day, you're telling the world, you're proclaiming. Oh, listen, let me calm down. Okay, let me calm down. Let me stop this so you can see my expression on my face. So when I tell you this, you will really understand what I'm saying to you. Okay? Because we heard him speak to us out of this fire. You and I and our people, whether you want to believe it or not, are witnesses to him being the Elohim. And either you're going to be a false witness or you're going to be a valid witness. You're going to be a righteous witness or you're going to be a false witness. You're going to give testimony to the truth or you're going to give testimony to the lie. And how you live your life is what you're proclaiming. So if he lives, if you don't live the way that he said, then you're a false witness. And therefore, you will not be held guiltless. You're not going to be innocent. You're going to be guilty. This is a court setting. I'm hopeful that you're listening, everyone. And with that, I would say that's pretty much what I wanted to cover today. And primarily, that's the end of that part of the covenant. There's a part in there that tells me that now that he finished saying that, that's it. So everything that has to do with his name, has to do with idolatry, has to do with all that, about how you deal with him, is really about whether or not you're going to be a false witness to who he is. And you're doing that through how you live your life. You're doing that through idolatry. And if that's ever found in your space, you're gone. You're dead. It's a wrap for you. You will. And by the way, when I say that you're dead, what I'm talking about is everyone's going to die. What I'm saying is your existence as a spirit and a soul will be destroyed. He's going to utterly exterminate you from the face of the earth, and your name will never be mentioned ever again. Ever. Matter of fact, it's going to be blotted out of the book. His book that he has with names in it. And if he ever blots your name out, your name will never. And what does that mean? It means that when your name is written in that book, that means that you have a right to life. It means that you're an eternal people. You'll be able to come back. You'll be able to come back and experience Yah's goodness and his kindness through generation after generation. This is the reason why if a man had a brother who died and he has to marry his brother's wife, and he has to name that child after his brother. So that son of him will become his brother, meaning like that's what it is. You see? So we're of a different type of cloth. We're a different type of people. So when he talks about wiping you out and cutting off your name and getting rid of you, that's because you have disqualified yourself from even participating on this level. There's no reason for your existence. You might be one of the Goyim or one of the nations that who don't know him. But the responsibility that's given to us, because he said, you heard what I said. Nobody else knows me except for you. You're the only one I revealed myself to. So because he revealed himself to us through the fire, you and I got to be held responsible for that, whether you like it or not. Because you think this is your first time here. You think that I didn't hear him. You think that you weren't there. That's what you think. You think he's making all this up. That you just found out about the Torah and that you just broke his laws. That's what you think. But that ain't the truth. The truth is that you were there. The truth is that you heard him speak. And how can you prove that, Achi'ka? He says, because when I bring you back to the land, you're going to be ashamed of what the things that you have done. Because he said, I'm going to open your eyes and show you what you did.
Right.
You see? So that's what it is, brothers and sisters. That's the truth.
Verse 7, y'all. We did it. Hey, we still got a little bit more to go. We ain't even got to the lower ones that was to men. We still on the ones to Yah. So hey, it's getting deeper and deeper. The more we get into it, the more we dive into this, and the more that we sit back and let the brother open up and peel back them pages and peel back the layers. All praise to the Most High for the wisdom that He has given this brother, and the understanding that He has given all of Israel to know and to hear and to know that, you know, we gotta do what we gotta do to please our Father. So without further ado, man, I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and get on, because we've been sitting here doing it, getting it in. And hey, next Saturday, y'all be here. Wait for that link when I send it out that we going live. And because I ain't gonna say we go live at a certain time. We just, you know, whenever we link, wherever we link, we just do it. We promise we gonna try to be a little bit more prompt on our time. But the elder, the brother, he has another class that he teaches before this one. So y'all get to that one too, and then come over here to this one, and, you know, get double fed. All praise to the Most High. So without further ado, man, we love y'all, man. Hey, what, you got anything else you want to say to him, Moreh?
No, I just thank the Most High for, you know, this platform and the ability to be able to teach the things that we need to learn. And it takes time. We're going to make mistakes, but I just been finding that in my studies over the last, you know, 12 to 13 years, that it really boils down to the actual covenant. So, because that's what has been broken, right? And the judgments and the kukim and all those things we're supposed to become familiar with those things. Right. But the Most High is not asking us to fulfill things that are impossible to fulfill while we're in our exile. He's literally checking and testing to see who has the heart to do what I say. So if you can't do, you know, we're saying, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that, we don't have an offering, we don't have a priesthood, we don't have this. But what you do have before you even had a priesthood is the covenant. Right. And that's what you did. That's what's joined us to Him. So if we don't understand that, then you and I are not going to be in a good relationship with the Most High. The covenant is our relationship. It is the agreement between us and Him. It's an agreement. So right. This is what's been the problem. This is what's been the confusion. This is what's been the conflict, is between what He said and what His expectations are, and what we said we were going to do and we didn't do it. So, and the number one thing is always idolatry. That's the number one. So when you start doing idolatrous practices, you're going to move away and forget about the covenant. You're going to forget about the agreement that you're bound to, and it's our obligation. So we need to move closer to that and try to figure out how we can go ahead and make good on what we said, and give our best intent and our best efforts to make sure that we do the things that we say we're going to do. So number one, Anoki Yahweh Eloheka Shirley Hotzi Tikata May arrest Misraim the Beth of Abdim, meaning that I am Yahweh your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Misraim from the house of bondage. Why would that be the first statement that He says? It's simply because I want you to remember your slavery. I want you to remember who is your Elohim. Okay? Lo yiyeda lakad the Elohim na al-kedrim na al-panai. That you are never to ever bring before me another God before my face. Never. Lodata say lakad the faselim will call it to munah. Yeah, share the ba shamayim the mimol, and why share the ba rets and mitakath? Why share the ba mayin and mitakath the la rets? Okay? You are to never make an image or a likeness of anything that's in the heavens above, or anything on the earth beneath, or anything beneath the earth in the waters. Lo tishtakawe lahem wa lo ta'avadem. You are to never to serve them, and you're never to bow down to them. Why? Because Kia Noki Yahweh, I am Yahweh, your Elohim. I am Yahweh. El Kona, I'm a jealous El. Apoked Avon Avot, the Albanim, and way all the Shilashim, way all the Rabbaim. I'm the Elohim who's jealous, who visits the iniquity and the perversion of the fathers and to the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me. I am the one who's showing mercy to the thousands of those who love me and those who keep my commandments. Lo tisa, which we went over today. Lo tisa, et the shame of Yahweh Eloheka, Felashua. Ki lo yanakwe Yahweh et asher yisai efedet shemo de lashua. You are never to ever carry around my name, the name of Yahweh, with falsehood and emptiness and worthless. For whoever does such a thing will not be held guiltless. Which we talked about what that means. Okay? Next week, we're going to talk about the remaining part, which is Sukkot Ef Yom HaShabbat, which you're doing right now.
Right.
Sukkot Ef Yom HaShabbat, the Lakwada show. Shashit Yamim, the Ta'avod and Waisita, the Kola Malaktika. Unuvayom the Hashavi, the Shabbat the Yahweh Eloheka. Lo Ta'ase, a Kola Malaka, the Ata, the Vinka, the Vitika, the Avdika, the Amatika, the Uvahemtika, the Wagerika, the Asher Bishareka, and the Kisha Shet, the Yamim, the Asadi Yawa, the Eth Hashamaim, and the Wayet the Haaretz. Okay? Wayet the Kalashir Bam, and Wayanaka the Bayom the Hadashavi, and all came the Veirak Yawa, the Et the Yom the Hashabat. And what Quadashehu? What did I just say? You are to remember the Sabbath day. 6 days you are to do your work, and on the seventh you are to rest. It is a Sabbath to Yahweh. You should do all your work. You shall never make any do any work. For it is the day that Yah has given, not you, not your son, not your daughter, not your male servant, not your female servant, not your beast, not your neighbor, your stranger who lives in your gates. You're not supposed to do that. For Yah has made the heavens and the earth. It took him 7 days to make the heavens and the earth and the sea and everything in it. And on the seventh day, Yah rested. Therefore, he has blessed the seventh day and set it aside in order to sanctify it. You understand? So this is where we're at. That's what we need to focus on. That's what we need to memorize. So my closing words is this, and my encouragement. I want you to learn the covenant. I want you to memorize the covenant. You don't have to do it in Hebrew. You just need to understand what it means in Hebrew. That's why I'm here to teach it to you. You want to challenge yourself, you could learn how to memorize it all in Hebrew. It's not hard. Might take a little bit longer.
Right.
But that's the most important thing to do. What do I mean? First word is Anoki Yahweh Eloheka. Once you know how to say Anoki, and you know what Anoki means, and you say Yahweh Eloheka. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. Anoki Yahweh Eloheka. Yep. Yeah, and you piece that up and you learn that for the first day. Set a goal, say the next 30 days, I want to know, or the next week or 2 weeks, depending on what time you have or what your capacity is to learn. If you don't want to learn the Hebrew, that's fine. Just say, I am Yahweh, your Elohim. You know that, memorize that. Piece that up. Who brought you out of the land of Egypt from out of the house of bondage. Piece that up. And then do that one or two, do a 2-piece. And memorize and get up in the morning and say it. And then go back and read the rest of it. Every day, you should be reading the covenant. Every single day. If you haven't memorized it, you haven't read it. So memorize the covenant. So you'll know what it is that you're going to be judged by when he brings us back out to the wilderness, to see whether or not you've decided that you're going to live according to the covenant. He didn't ask you for no offerings in the covenant. He just told you what it is.
Right. Obey.
See? Obey. This is what, yeah, because those are the words he's going to say to us again. By the way, it's not going to be anything different. There ain't no new covenant coming. It's going to be the same. When it talks about he's going to give us a new covenant in Jeremiah 31:31, he's not talking about a new covenant. He's saying renew. I'm going to renew the covenant. The words that were spoken in the first one will be the words in the second. The Most High doesn't change. He told you never to change his words. He's not changed. It's already been declared.
Right.
We're thinking this is brand new. Like he's going to do something. Well, this is new for us. These are words that have already been declared, people.
Mm-hmm.
We're just new to it. He ain't new. We're new.
Right.
That's all I'm going to say for now.
All praises. So y'all get back with us next week, man. Hey, we go be on verse 8.
Yeah.
We slowly but surely, like the brothers say, we gotta let y'all know we can't rush through this. We gotta get through it bit by bit, piece by piece, and let you know exactly what's being said from a biblical Hebraic aspect. And it's a beautiful thing that we have a Moreh that can teach us that from that aspect. All praises. So it's your boy Abia signing off for Spit Your Truth Podcast. This is the Sabbath Talk with Moreh Achi'ka, the Covenant Edition. And it's a wrap for another one. We gonna get back at y'all next week, man. We love y'all. Until then, y'all stay safe and enjoy the vibe. All praises. Shabbat shalom. We taking y'all to the motherland with this one.
This is our battle cry. We watched our people die. 400 years of oppression, and now it's time to rise. We made straight from his image, the apple of his eyes. They hate we destined for royalty, call us Nagasi.
We are the children of Israel. If you don't live for God, then you will die in hell. We still got battle scars from our ancestors killed. They threw us for a loop without the time to heal. We Hebrew Israelites, we royalty, no trash. We peculiar people, these other nations mad. Rehearsing righteous acts, Bible Apocrypha. I love to meditate on holy literature. 2/3 spiritually dead, got eyes but cannot see, got ears but cannot hear the Elohim speak. Spiritual warfare, prepare every prophet. I'm praying long prayers to shake them demons off me.
This is our battle cry. We watched our people die. 400 years of oppression, and now it's time to ride. We made straight from his image, the apple of his eyes. They hate we destined for royalty, call us Nagasi. This is our battle cry. We watched our people die. 400 years of oppression, and now it's time to ride. We made straight from his image, the apple of his eyes. They hate we destined for royalty, call us Nagasi. I'm coughing up.
Shout out ENT. Y'all's one ENT. CKM. Praising the Most High with all my heart and all my might. Thank you, my Creator, for true wisdom and for sight. Thank you, do so much for me, so unto you I hold my right. Body, my Elohim is Torah glow.
We got that Torah glow. My Torah glow shines bright like a candlelight. El Shaddai over everything, yeah, that's on my life. Seeing through dirty water like Visine, clear my sight. Y'all's the head of my circle, you know I keep it tight. If you ain't got that Torah glow, it'll be alright. Come fellowship with CKM and watch the Ruach shine bright. It reveals your flaw and right away it won't feel right. Breaking tradition will be hard, but in the end you will prevail. With the spirit of Yah, you'll be the head and not the tail. My soul belongs to the God of Israel, so it ain't for sale. I'm bold as a lion with my gift, I'm never shy. I put my life on the line for my El Shaddai.
Praising the Most High with all my heart and all my might. Thank you, my Creator, for true wisdom and for sight. Thank you, do so much for me, so until you I hold my right. Body, my Elohim is Torah glow.
We got that Torah glow.
My Torah glow is transmitted straight from my Father's glory. My obligation lies to him, therefore I tell my story. His grace and mercy is immaculate, his love uplifting. Like a warm embrace when you know you in love and you got all your trust to give him. Short-lived on evil deeds, walk upright and teach your seeds. You wanna shine like the master, this how you will achieve. Your Torah glow, mixed with faith and works, you'll move the mountains. Set apart representative of the